Welcome back, guys. I just watched Spider-Man Homecoming, and let me tell you right away that it was actually pretty good, and I really enjoyed watching this movie. Now, we all saw Tom Holland's portrayal of Spider-Man in Civil War, and after that movie, literally nobody could wait for this movie to come out anytime sooner. And now that it's out, I get to finally talk about it, and I know I'm super late on this review, and there's freaking tens of thousands of Spider-Man reviews out there on YouTube right now, but I'm gonna do it for you guys anyways. So in order for me to talk about this film, I just want to say that I am going to talk about some spoilers. Now, this movie takes place after Civil War, so you got to keep that in mind, that now that Spider-Man is in the Marvel Universe, a lot of things are going to happen around this Marvel Universe, so a lot of that stuff is going to be included in Spider-Man, and they kind of repeat it a lot. Hey, Spider-Man is finally part of the Marvel Universe, and they kind of keep throwing those images out at you throughout the whole movie, just to let you know. So first things first, Tom Holland as Spider-Man, freaking amazing. I really liked him. And not only as Spidey, but also as Peter Parker. I think this is the best representation of both Spider-Man and Peter Parker in a movie. He looks like a legit kid, and they even get the age for the entire school correct. No 28 years old playing little teens. That's just creepy. He's a legit kid, guys. He actually worries about stuff that you would worry about when you're 15 years old. He's worried about school, he's worried about girls, he's worried about his friends. He obviously is worried about becoming an Avenger, and he's also worried about his community and how he wants to help them by being a superhero, and that being Spider-Man. He's naive, he's very innocent, but at the same time he can be so goofy, and that's what we wanted from the comic books. That's the actual Spider-Man and Peter Parker that we get in this movie. I don't think Tom Holland could have done more in this movie for what he showed us, and I think it was awesome. Now, Michael Keaton as the Vulture was actually freaking awesome. I really liked him in this movie. His acting was great. And to be honest, this is probably the best villain in the MCU that I've seen in a long time. Or if anything, the best MCU villain out of all of them. He was great. He has a backstory. He has a motivation. His entire arc in this movie is great. And by the end of the film, I still cared about this character because everything he does in this movie is because of a purpose. Even though in the beginning it's a little bit rushed, I still really enjoy this character. Marissa Tomei as Aunt May. Oh my god, she's fine as hell. That's all I'm gonna say about that. I just want to see Aunt May in the next movie. Just a little bit more. That's it. As far as his buddy Ned and some of the kids at school, they're pretty good. Ned, at some points, I feel I found him a little bit annoying because he just kept fangirling about Spider-Man being his best friend and having all those powers and stuff like that, which I kind of get because I feel if I was 15 and my best friend was Spider-Man, I think I would have been geeking out like crazy and just asking him to tell the entire school. But certain times Ned got under my skin and I was just all right, man, just chill out a little bit. Zendaya as MJ was pretty cool. I liked her character. It's a little bit mysterious. She's kind of an outcast in this film, so that's a little bit different. So I'm wondering, what they're gonna do with this character in the future, because they even changed her name to Michelle. So I don't know why they did that. And also there are other characters in the film that they kind of changed, so some of you guys might not like that. For example, Flash, I kind of didn't like him in this movie because he doesn't even look like a bully. He looks like a little nerd. Tom Holland looks like he could be the bully to Flash in this movie, so that's why I didn't find it believable. And the whole time Flash keeps calling Peter Parker Penis Parker, and it got pretty old pretty quick. Some of the kids in this movie are going to become bigger things in the MCU later on, like Ned himself. I think he's going to become one of the goblins. Obviously Michelle is MJ, she's going to be a bigger part, and Flash, who knows what he's going to do in this movie, because I really don't see him being a bigger part besides being the nerdy bully, if that even makes sense. Now, Tony Stark was in this movie. Obviously he was heavily advertised for this film, and I was kind of nervous because I was all right, Tony Stark or Iron Man is going to be this movie too much, and it's going to take away from Spider-Man, and it's actually nothing like that. There's a good balance between Tony Stark and Iron Man, because Tony Stark obviously gives Spider-Man the suit, so obviously we get some scenes about him, 3 or 4 scenes about Tony Stark, and they were really good and entertaining actually. At this point, Tony Stark can be in anything and I'll like it. We also get Happy. Happy is kind of the babysitter of Spider-Man, keeping track of him, what he's doing and stuff like that. One of the best scenes comes with Tony Stark in the movie itself, because there's a scene where Tom Holland kind of just messes up trying to go after the Vulture by himself, and Tony Stark gets kind of mad because he kind of hacks into his suit and he takes it away and just kind of gives him a lesson, or kind of he's kind of like a parent figure in this movie. He's my dad treated me this way, so I don't want to treat you this way. And he's telling him, if you think you're nothing without the suit, then maybe you don't deserve it, or somewhere along those lines. And I really like that scene. Now, there are some different characters in this movie, like Donald Glover, and I was interested to see what he was going to do in this movie. He's supposed to be a future character in the MCU. I'm not so sure who he is, so you guys might help me out in the comments. But he was pretty interesting. interesting. I liked him for the scenes that he was in, and also part of the Vulture's posse or whatever. There are shockers. Yes, there's 2 of them because they decided to waste the first one for some reason just to show how evil the Vulture can be. And I kind of didn't like that because it's like, why get rid of one shocker and do the other guy? I kind of liked the first shocker. Like, he looked more menacing than the second one. Now, as far as the Spider-Man suit, I dig it to a certain extent because it is designed by Iron Man, and I totally get that, but what we've seen from previous movies is that, you know, Spider-Man builds his own Spider-Man suit, and it's pretty basic. It's just like latex, red, blue, you know, that's all you get. But he gets like all these power-ups and gadgets and whatnot, and to a certain extent, I liked it, but I feel like it helped out too much, if that makes sense. Like, it becomes a problem for Spider-Man because he doesn't know what the hell is going on. He's using his Spider-Man suit in basic mode, and then he kind of hacks it to where he can like really do anything with his suit, and he even gets like an AI called Karen, kind of like Jarvis. And another thing was that there's no Spidey sense in this movie, and I'm not sure if that comes later. Like, I'm not really sure. I'm not like a big comic book nerd to know this. It kind of felt like Karen was his Spidey sense, and I kind of didn't like that because she was guiding him through everything while he was using this suit. And I feel like a lot of people will have complaints about Spider-Man in this movie because he's messing up a lot, but I totally get that because he literally just learned how to use his powers. Like, he literally falls flat on his face because he didn't calculate the height while he was shooting his web, and I thought that was hilarious. But there are some points in the movie where they kind of show scenes, you know, what would happen if, you know, there's no like high buildings or like high enough trees for you to web sling around. So I like that. It was pretty funny, but to a certain extent because they kind of overdo it, especially with him riding on top of cars. And it made me wonder, like, can't Spider-Man run fast as hell too? Like, and I know you're gonna say like, dude, he's 15 years old. How the hell does he know how to use his powers? But remember, he was in the freaking Civil War movie, going toe to toe with the other Avengers, especially Captain America. So I'm pretty sure this dude can run fast as hell. You guys might want to correct me on this, but I read somewhere where Spider-Man could run up to like 200 miles per hour. I'm not sure, but that's what I remember. So I could be totally wrong, but that's something that stuck out to me while I was watching the movie, watching him run through those fields chasing after that van. So I was just like, okay, what? Like, can he run faster than that? Now, I did say that this movie was great. I really liked it, but I do have some nitpicks about the film itself because the pacing for the movie, it slows down for me and it picks up. I feel like they held back some intensity in this film because when we go into high school mode, we just stay in high school mode. He's worried a lot about, you know, school and how he's going to balance that out with being an Avenger. And at the same time, he's like really concerned about Liz, you know, his love interest in this movie. So I feel like it kind of like slows down for me a bit at points, but then it picks up. Another thing about this movie itself is like the intensity and the risks that Spider-Man takes in this movie. I feel like it doesn't live up to that hype like we've seen in previous movies like Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire or even Spider-Man 1. Even though there's like a scene where he's fighting the Vulture on the airplane or he's fighting like all these people on the ferry and the ferry splits in half and stuff like that, I feel like the intensity never escalates to where you feel like Spider-Man's about to die or like somebody's gonna die on that ferry. And let me remind you, there's a lot of people on that ferry that could have gotten really hurt, but it never escalates to that. And I don't know if it has to do with the score of the movie because it never really elevates it to that point. And I get you guys are gonna say, dude, he's like a kid. Like, obviously he's not gonna go anywhere to where he like tries to like defy death or whatever. But that's the point. He's 15. He's trying to capture this villain, the Vulture, who already said in one scene that, you know, he's gonna find him and kill him. But at the same time, it never feels like he's in any danger. It's kind of like Marvel decided to pull some punches on some of those action sequences, which is okay because, again, he's a kid. But I feel like I just wanted a little bit more in those action sequences or even in the chase where he was chasing down that van. Another thing is the suit. I really like the suit, the way it looked, but the way that it's used, I really don't like it as much because of all the gadgets and power-ups. And now you're gonna say, you know, obviously Iron Man built it, so duh, there's a lot of stuff that he wanted to add on. But at the end of the day, it doesn't even feel like a Spider-Man. It just feels like an Iron Man suit for Spider-Man. And it feels more Iron Man-ish than Spider-Man would wear. That's really all I had to nitpick about the movie. Like, you know, the pacing, some stuff with the Spider-Man suit, the intensity in some of the action sequences themselves, and obviously some of the friends are like high schoolers in the movie I just kind of didn't like as much. Another thing about this movie was that since this takes place after Civil War, and since we're finally getting Spider-Man into the Marvel universe, it's kind of like they wanted to remind us like in every scene that this is a Marvel movie. It was kind of hilarious because there would be like scenes with Captain America talking through a TV. Obviously Iron Man will pop up every once in a while. They'll talk about like, you know, where he's gonna be or, you know, how he's gonna going to be a part of the Avengers, and also, you know, the whole time he's worried about being an Avenger, waiting for that call from Happy or Iron Man to call him up for the next mission. So I kind of felt like that was all in your face a lot of the time. Now, obviously, what I really liked about the movie was Tom Holland. He is Spider-Man. He is the new Spider-Man in my mind, and I really enjoyed that. He's funny, he's nerdy, and when he turns into Spider-Man, he has that quirky like humor that we have from the comics, and I really enjoy that. It's like so funny. One of the best scenes in this movie, and my personal favorite, is whenever he goes to Liz's house to pick her up for homecoming, and he finds out that the Vulture is her dad, and I was like, holy shit, how did I miss that? Like, that was great. I'm usually good on picking up like hints throughout the movie to like the big reveal, but this one got me really good, and I thought was amazing. Just the way that Michael Keaton was talking to Tom Holland in that scene, and their facial reactions was great. Tom Holland looked like he had no clue what to do. He felt useless and nervous as hell because he knew who he was. One scene in particular that I wanted a little bit more out of Peter Parker or Spider-Man was whenever Spider-Man goes to confront the Vulture right after Homecoming. It was kind of shitty what he did to Liz, but it's Spider-Man, you know, like he wants to do right. But in that scene where the Vulture like pretty much knocks down the entire building on top of Spider-Man, I feel like he wasn't given enough time to create enough suspense and tension to build up to a better scene, because it kind of happens all fast. And I already knew that he was gonna like pick up the rubble and just get out of it because it's in the comics, but I feel like just a little bit more, it would have been even better. But overall, that scene was pretty good. In the end, guys, Tom Holland was great. I freaking like him as Spider-Man. I want to see more of him in future Avenger movies and even Spider-Man movies. Michael Keaton was a great villain and a great addition to this Marvel universe as well, so we'll probably see him again maybe in future Spider-Man movies. We don't know yet. Again, this movie is a little bit different from your other Spider-Man movies because this is very lighthearted. I feel like Marvel played it safe and pulled some punches on some of those action sequences, and they didn't go overboard, which is fine because they're rebooting Spider-Man again, and I feel like this is going to be great for the fans of Spider-Man, and I think they did a great job. Even though I feel like they lacked in some departments, you know, I didn't like a lot of the stuff, I still found this movie overall enjoyable and worth watching even again. I'm gonna give Spider-Man Homecoming a 4 out of 5. Now, as far as the best Spider-Man representation and Peter Parker representation, it's hands down to Tom Holland. Like, I really liked it. But now, as the best Spider-Man movie for me, I think it would be Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire. There was a whole lot of like risk and tension going on in there, and overall I just thought it was a better film than this one. But this one probably comes second to Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire. Now, I have to pick the best first Spider-Man movie. It's gonna be this one. I think this one's gonna be first, then Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, then Andrew Garfield. But yeah, guys, that is my thoughts on Spider-Man Homecoming. Hope you guys liked it. If you guys didn't like it, then, well, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna see some dislikes. But if you guys did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, please let me know in your comments to see who your favorite Spidey is, and also what your favorite Spider-Man movie so far is. I think we have like 7 or 8 now. I can't even keep track. Oh my God. In the span of like 20 years or so, we've had 3 Spider-Mans, and I think we finally got it right. So guys, that is all I have. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Also, if you guys are new to my channel, please subscribe and hit the little bell so you can get my next review. Sorry this was a little bit late, just never had time to post it anytime earlier, and I watched the movie on Saturday, so kind of had to do adult things. So guys, until next time, stay tuned.